Welcome back to another episode of Wildcat Wisdom. I'm coming to you from the University of Kentucky, which is currently a pretty crazy place to be. In this episode, I want to clarify some of the facts surrounding the Heliovocalis outbreak on campus, and tell you a little bit about the destruction of our beloved William T. Young Library, better known as Willie T. As of today, April 15th, 2019, the death toll has risen to 15,200 people, and will be at least 15,201 in the next 48 hours. I'm sad to say I have contracted the disease. I'm going to put up a fight, but with a 100% fatality rate, the odds are not in my favor. Those of you still out there listening, I know we've had a pretty emotional week, so I'm going to try to keep this a little more upbeat. First things first, you're probably wondering what the heck happened to the library. Well, yesterday morning, April 14th, Eli Capilouto made the rash decision to demolish the $58 million library. It was suspected that the disease, Heliovocalis, had originated in the library. So I guess Capilouto thought he was making a heroic decision. Wrong. I'll tell you how wrong he was in just a minute. But I want to make sure you know all the important information surrounding this disease. Similar to yellow fever, the disease has two stages. So stage 1 begins 12 hours after exposure and causes hyperactivity of your vocal cords, which results in a high-pitched voice similar to that of sucking air out of a helium balloon, thus the name Heliovocalis. Sounds like a funny disease, right? Just wait for stage 2. After a brief 48-hour recovery phase, stage 2 strikes with alarming virulence. There's paralysis of your recurrent laryngeal nerves, which are important for speaking, breathing, and swallowing. And it causes severe swelling of your entire airway. And finally, the disease suffocates its victims. All who suffer are dead within 24 hours of the start of stage 2. Before today, this was all anyone knew about Heliovocalis. How the disease was transmitted and where it came from were questions that were left unanswered. Throughout the week, a team of epidemiologists have been scouring our campus for clues. They created a map similar to Jon Snow's ghost map to track the locations where infected or dead people had traveled to. 2 days ago, the team came forward with a statement claiming the disease had been isolated to one location, Willie T. Today, they released a more complete story. Heliovocalis came from hundreds of genetically modified flowers that were planted in front of the library. Researchers in the College of Agriculture had designed these flowers to bloom year-round. What they didn't know was that the flowers released microscopic spores containing the disease agent Heliovocalis. This answered our previous questions. The disease is transmitted through airborne spores, not from person to person, and it came from a man-made species of flower. Willie T is in the center of campus, so it's no wonder so many individuals fell victim. In the blink of an eye, we lost our library and so many of our friends. I understand the political pressure that President Capilouto was facing, but I cannot imagine being in his shoes today. He tore down $58 million yesterday for no reason. Social and political factors have had a huge impact on this epidemic, but I want to first talk about the political atmosphere. The speed at which Heliovocalis is taking lives has created a political frenzy. Federal and state governments continue to debate over how to respond. Quarantine is an idea that was historically favored in epidemics like the Black Plague, but some groups have argued that if we use it today, that it violates human rights. As you all know, the school has been shut down, and the failure to make quick and necessary decisions regarding this disease has caused widespread panic, which brings us to the social implications of the outbreak. It's probably hard to believe, but Heliovocalis started with a comical explosion on social media. Students made countless Snapchat and Instagram videos singing things like Alvin and the Chipmunks and The Cats Cheer in their high-pitched voices. It was all fun and games until the disease took its first victims. The news spread almost instantly because of our access to technology. Within an hour, the streets were lined with cars as people tried to flee. But it was too late for many people. They were either too sick to leave or stayed, like me, to live out the last few days of their lives. The aftermath of this epidemic has left Lexington a ghost town. All agricultural research projects in the United States have been shut down and are pending review. In the future, I expect better research surveillance and a more organized plan of action if another epidemic occurs. There has to be changes that adapt to the times. In the 1850s, London adapted to the booming population and cholera by integrating sanitation systems. We currently need to adapt to technology's influence on epidemic diseases. Panic is unavoidable, but it's exacerbated by technology. Thankfully, though, I think the worst of the epidemic is over. Now that the culprit has been identified and removed, no one else should be infected. The last of us that have been exposed will be dead in a few days' time, and then the survivors will rebuild. We have created a man-made epidemic. Will this happen again? Is it possible we will eventually be responsible for the demise of the human race? I will never know. But hopefully, those of you still out there listening will make sure something like this never happens again. This is Marissa McDowell, signing off for the last time.